All right. Hey, everyone, welcome back. We're going to be diving into something today. I don't know about you, but this is a topic that really kind of hit me between the eyes
Oh, yeah.
when I was first, reading through it.
Yeah.
And that is facing our fears
Okay.
as a path to inner peace.
Interesting.
Now, when you
Yeah.
hear that, it's like, what's...
That's a bit counterintuitive, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like, jumping into a cold shower to warm up, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But really, that's what we're going to be talking about today in this deep dive. And we're going to be looking to M. Scott Peck
Okay.
and his book, The Road Less Traveled.
I've heard of that one, yeah.
It's a classic, and for good reason.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at how he kind of frames this idea of fear and how instead of avoiding it,
Right.
we can actually use it
Interesting.
as a tool
Yeah.
for growth.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
what's interesting about Peck is that he doesn't look at fear
Right.
as something that we need to conquer
Okay.
and eliminate.
Yeah.
He says, you know what? Confront it
Huh.
head on.
Interesting.
And it's almost like he's saying that fear is a doorway.
Okay.
And on the other side of that doorway is
Well, I'm listening.
growth.
So like a pathway, like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So fear is a doorway to growth.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets a little bit,
Okay.
maybe a little
tricky.
or little nuanced, because he's talking about spiritual growth.
Okay, I was just about to ask, what does he mean by that?
Right. And so I think it's really important for us to kind of unpack that a little bit
Yeah.
because, what does he really mean
Right.
by spiritual?
Yeah.
And is this relevant
Right.
to someone who maybe doesn't consider themselves,
Right.
a particularly spiritual person?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I think, when we hear that word spiritual, we often immediately think of religion or,
Yeah.
some kind of organized belief system. But for Peck,
Yeah.
he defines it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
He sees it as this process of self-discovery
Yeah.
and personal growth.
Yeah.
So it's really about understanding yourself, like your values, your purpose, and maybe even your connection to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be.
Okay. So it's less about chanting on a mountaintop,
Right.
more about
Exact.
self-discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He even describes it as a journey of awakening.
Okay.
Where you're kind of shedding those layers
Yeah.
of maybe, defense mechanisms
Yeah.
or limiting beliefs that fear has kind of built up over time.
Okay. I like that. So it's fear kind of builds these walls around us.
Right.
And as we kind of face those fears, we can start to break down those walls and
Exactly.
discover who we really are.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Okay, so that all sounds really good in theory.
Right.
But let's get a little bit practical.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's say, for example,
Yeah.
you are someone who is terrified of public speaking.
Okay. Yeah.
What does it actually look like to confront that fear?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean I'm going to go join Toastmasters and tremble my way through a speech?
It could, but it doesn't have to be that drastic, especially right away.
Okay.
Peck, he really emphasizes taking small steps,
Okay.
manageable steps.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of, jumping straight into a huge presentation,
Right.
you start by, I don't know, sharing your ideas in a smaller group,
Okay.
or even just practice speaking up more in everyday conversations.
Right.
It's really about gradually pushing your comfort zone a little bit at a time.
All right.
And also, and I think this is key, understanding the root of that fear.
Okay.
So why does public speaking make you feel that way?
Right.
What story are you telling yourself about it?
That's interesting. So you're saying that it's not just about white knuckling our way through the fear.
Right.
It's about understanding the why behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
And as you start to chip away at that fear, you start to gain a sense of self-mastery.
Okay.
Peck actually shares this story about a patient of his who was terrified of commitment.
Oh, wow.
And through therapy, she began to understand that her fear actually stemmed from a childhood experience
Interesting.
where she had witnessed, a lot of instability in her own family.
Right.
And so as she began to confront those past hurts, she was actually able to build healthier relationships in the present.
Wow.
That's the kind of transformation that Peck's talking about.
So it's as we peel back the layers of that fear, we discover more about ourselves.
Right.
But we also gain the strength to overcome it.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. It is. It is.
Because if we're just running away from the fear all the time.
We never really get to that place of like,
Yeah.
self-discovery and strength.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't about becoming fearless.
Right.
It's about changing your relationship with fear.
Okay.
Peck actually has this great quote. He says, "The only way to overcome fear is to feel it fully and completely."
Okay, so let's think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Instead of running away from it, you lean into it.
Yeah.
You feel it, you learn from it.
Exactly. And in that space of vulnerability,
Yeah.
you often find this unexpected strength and resilience.
Hmm.
You start to see that, you know what, fear isn't this insurmountable obstacle.
Right.
It's more like a guidepost
Yeah.
pointing you toward personal growth.
Wow, I'm sitting here thinking about my own fears,
Yeah.
and just hearing you talk about this,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see them in a new light.
Oh, I'm glad.
You know, maybe it's not something to be dreaded,
Right.
but maybe it's an opportunity
Wow.
to dig a little deeper and
Yeah.
understand myself better.
That's a really powerful realization.
Yeah.
And what if, instead of asking ourselves, how do I get rid of this fear?
Right.
We ask, what is this fear trying to teach me?
Mm.
That's the kind of shift in perspective
Yeah.
Peck is encouraging.
So to kind of wrap things up here,
Mhm.
I think the big takeaway is that
Mhm.
fear, as uncomfortable as it is,
Right.
might actually be a signpost
Yeah.
on the road to self-discovery
Yeah.
and inner peace, not by ignoring it,
Right.
but by facing it head on.
And who knows, maybe what you discover on the other side of that fear will surprise you.
Ooh, that's a good point to leave on.
Yeah.
I really encourage everyone listening, if this deep dive resonated with you, go pick up The Road Less Traveled.
It's a good one.
Explore Peck's ideas a
Yeah.
little bit further.
You won't regret it.
I think you'll find yourself looking at the things that you fear
Yeah.
in a whole new way.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.